Welcome to the second lesson on using Quizlet. The first lesson showed you how to use the flashcards to learn expressions and collocations, but often the problem for most learners is not learning to put one specific word into a space, it's learning how to put everything together, and that is everything that is around that space. So it's fairly simple here, for example, if you've studied the difference between current and actual, which is a common problem for learners, to understand that the word will be current. And if we click it, it tells us it's current. What's more difficult is everything that goes with it. As I said in the first video, you can start with the term, which is the front of the card. You can start with both sides, or you can start with the definition, which is the back of the card. If we start with the definition, the whole thing becomes a lot more difficult, but, well, let's say more challenging, because it gives you the chance to test your memory on the whole phrase rather than the word. Can you remember the original? Well, I suggest you look at both sides. Now try again. And you can go back and see it. So this is one way of doing what I call an inverse cloze test. You're not putting the word in the space, you're putting the context around the word. This works very well if you have a short sentence, but what happens if you have a longer one? Okay, we'll do the same thing. We're currently working on phase 1 of the project, but we'll soon move on to phase 2. Take a minute to look at it. Now let's try just with the definition. We are currently working on phase 1 of the project. When you get to this bit, you probably can't remember the rest. You could go back and look at it again. But we will soon move on to phase 2. Try again. We're currently working on phase 1 of the project, but we'll soon move on to phase 2. Let me check it. Yes, okay, but it's quite difficult when it's long. So the key is do this with shorter examples. Here, for example, are the examples from speculation language, which we did last term. You may remember we looked at portraits and we speculated about the people. So here, for example, we looked at a portrait and we said, I guess she could be waiting for a party. Okay, this is shorter, so if we do the same process we did before, it should be easier. First, both sides. I guess she could be waiting for a party. Can you remember the painting? Can you see it? Because sometimes when you're memorizing a phrase like this, actually visualizing the person or the picture helps you quite a lot. Okay, let's try again. Now we have guess. Can you remember the phrase? I guess she waiting for a party. Maybe you can't remember the verb. Let's have a look again. I guess she could be waiting for a party. I guess she could be waiting for a party. Okay, so if the sentences are simple, not too long, you can do this inverse cloze, and it's a very useful way of memorizing phrases. Of course, another thing you can do is something that we did with the actual cards when we were playing memory. We made it, and that's instead of having a cloze, to have matching sentences. Same structure here. These are the sentences that came from the data collection tape that we listened to. So the project I'm working on was a language frame. It may seem very simple. The words are very simple. But again, the problem is not the simple words. The problem is putting it together to make a cohesive language frame. All right, let's start with working on. Notice the highlighted on just to help you with the collocation. The project I'm working on should be fairly easy to remember. Another one. Both sides. Don't worry if you don't. Don't worry if you don't. So you can see that it's much easier if you do this with shorter sentences or with matching beginnings and ends like this. In any case, this is the second step. The first step is looking at the particular collocations, looking at specific items, but then looking at how to put it all together. And then, of course, you can go off and express yourself in a really successful English. So, good luck and have fun.